Greetings everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Captain Ryan. Today's video comes to us courtesy of USMC Hawk. And our intrepid marine is playing in my favorite Tier 9 destroyer in World of Warships, the USS Fletcher. As the battle gets underway here, it's Haven, it's Domination Match Mode. And in this battle, Hawk is going to do pretty well when it comes to handling this destroyer. Now, as you can see, his team has started off with the destroyer advantage. It's very important when you have that destroyer advantage gifted to you by the matchmaker that you do everything in your power to maintain it. Now, normally, I would say head straight for the B cap point, especially if you are in the Fletcher, because it is a good torpedo boat and gunboat to go and challenge caps with. Combine that with its low detectability and pretty quick torpedo reload, you're left with a destroyer that can easily perform against other destroyers. Now, of course, there are some notable examples that you do want to avoid, but that's where knowing when to bug out and or whether or not you have backup coming in with you. But Hawk here is going to head wide of the B cap point. And now this isn't necessarily a bad thing to do, but if you look at the mini-map, you can see that the other destroyer that's on this side of the map with him is not headed towards the B cap point. So nobody's going up there at the moment. What Hawk is doing, however, is he's going to get around the side of this island, and he's going to put himself into a position to detect all of the cruisers and all of the battleships that are headed his direction. The enemy team has started capturing the B cap point and the C cap point, and at this point, nobody on his team is actually pushing in to counter that. But at the very least, it tells them exactly where the enemy's destroyers are located. Speaking of enemy destroyers, Lo Yang pops up there, very, very close range there for Hawk as he comes around the side of that island. Does get some shots away there and lands a hit, but you'll notice here he's popped his smoke screen to break line of sight. This is basically just a temporary island, if you will, because he's not going to stick around. That was the Lo Yang. It has hydroacoustic. That means that guy, all he has to do is really push up into this smoke screen with his hydroactive. But you can see there he's not actually chasing Hawk down, partly because, well, Hawk's in a Fletcher, and the Fletcher is a very dangerous destroyer, but also because he's probably not as experienced. At this point, though, it probably would have been beneficial for him to go back there, simply because Hawk doesn't have a lot of teammates here, and if he's sitting in the smoke, he can't spot that Lo Yang. He does manage to hit a torpedo on the Montana in the distance there. That Montana only took one, definitely put the flooding out, so that's actually going to be bad for him, as you can see all of the high explosive fire that's coming in towards him. That means he's probably going to get some fire set on him, and because he's used his damage control, well, now he's going to burn. Plus, Hawk has got himself his torpedoes ready to go again. He also gets lucky here as those torpedoes coming in there do fall short before they reach him. Given their positioning and the fact that there was a little bit of a delay there by Hawk, it's extremely probable that one of those would have hit him. Now, I noticed that Hawk is not running with a survivability expert, and I do recommend, if you have a 19-point captain, to go ahead and take survivability expert on the Fletcher. It really does come in handy having that extra 3,000 health, basically, putting you up at 20,000, because you can survive a torpedo impact from pretty much everything, with the exception, I think, of another Fletcher. And even then, you may actually survive, provided you haven't taken any damage from anybody else. Now, that Montana is still burning down there. He's taken a lot of damage, a lot of hits there, and it looks like Hawk has actually managed to set a fire on him there because he's burning down nicely, and Hawk's damage is going up there. But it doesn't look like the torpedoes there are going to reach them. That Montana did turn away and was able to avoid them. A little bit disappointing there, but still burning down. And like I said, the Fletcher, with its fast torpedo reload with the module and the captain skill, those torpedoes are almost available again. Now, at this point in the game, the enemy team has 3 of the cap points. Hawk's team is challenging at the C cap point for control, but nobody is pushing up here. And you can see there on the mini-map, there's a nice little Charlie Foxtrot going on down behind the decap point, and that is definitely not good. Now, Hawk's taking a risk here. He's opening up on that Montana. The Montana put that fire out that was burning there, and Hawk manages to set him on fire again. But notice that fire immediately got extinguished. So that tells him that his Montana is running damage control. And because that Montana is running damage control, if Hawk can get yet another fire set on this guy, he's going to burn him down. And given that Montana's not got a lot of health left, but you'll notice here, he's popped his smoke screen generator, and he took a little too long to slam on his brakes there, and that result was a big hit from a couple of different battleships shooting at him. And so he's lost a lot of his health there, and that's not a good thing in this situation. But he has set yet another fire on that Montana here, so that Montana is going to burn down. And he did hit another torpedo on another ship off in the distance there. And can he secure the kill? Come on, that Montana's almost dead. Yes, he does burn him down there, so that's excellent for him. At this point, Hawk is doing pretty well, but he's not really in a position to help push or support. He's back down here, and he's causing a lot of headaches for these battleships down here. But that's not really being beneficial to the team. The Fletcher really does have a strong role as a more forward destroyer. If you were in something like, say, the Khabarovsk, I would say being back this far is an acceptable thing, but not so much in the Fletcher. Now, enemy Yamato there looks like he's reversing. He is outside of torpedo range, and he is reversing, so he's probably not going to get hit by these torpedoes. Hawk could have gotten a little bit closer. I noticed that Hawk is using his guns a lot in this battle, and while that's not necessarily wrong, it's not the most effective way to play there, especially when you open up at this kind of range, and you can see he's instantly being targeted by somebody. Somebody has got him, they see him, and they want to shoot at him, and they're pretty smart for deciding that that is what they need to do. Now, Hawk does manage to set another fire here, and so that's going to burn down for a little bit. You can see there, enemy Hindenburg, and that is a very, very dangerous cruiser to fight against. So, in this particular case, given how much health he has, I would honestly say to just drop off detectability, stop firing, drop off, and then go dark. Basically become a torpedo boat. Get back around behind there and harass. And you can see there, enemy Shimakaze, enemy destroyers in the B-cap point. Now, Hawk's team has managed to pull the scores back a little bit there. They've killed 3 enemy ships to losing only 2, but they really do need to refocus. Now, you can see there the vast majority of people down at the D-cap point have rolled up, and they've gone through the D-cap point up into the C-cap point. So they are flanking, and they're coming back to the A-cap point. So at the very least, they've got a nice front there. Well, most of the enemy is now concentrated at the B-cap point, or behind the B-cap point. But again, going back into it, you can see there he's been constantly opening up with his guns, and he keeps getting detected. Given how much health he's got left here and the types of ships that are out here, I would absolutely not be opening up with my guns. I would just go torpedo boat only, especially because for the most part at this point he can pretty much detect anybody, any other destroyer, before being detected himself. And that's important because it's going to give him that little bit of leeway and the opportunity to slam on his brakes and pop that smoke screen, get a set of torpedoes off, or turn around and run away. And depending on what he runs into and how much health they have, turning around and running away is going to be a very important thing to do. Now, enemy still have some radar cruisers in the game here, but you can see how far away they are, so they're not too much of a threat there. And now, the enemy team has lost all 3 of their destroyers. So, at this point, Hawk can now basically play as a torpedo boat and not ever have to open up with his guns again if he doesn't want to, because there's nothing that can detect him before he's well within torpedo range. But you see here, he's opened up with his guns yet again on the Des Moines down there, and he does set a fire on that Des Moines, but the Des Moines is backing up there, and Hawk manages to beach himself as he pops his smokescreen. Now, the Des Moines has taken his damage control, but he's just taken a big hit there. He's not got a lot of health left, and those shots not going to reach him in time before getting taken out. But there's an Iowa out there pushing up, so Hawk shifts his fire, and he's going to start shooting at the Iowa. And he does actually start connecting on that Iowa there, but not doing a lot of damage there because it's 127mm high explosive onto the superstructure, really hoping to set another fire here. But again, with the Fletcher's ability, that fast torpedo reload and low detectability, especially now that there are no destroyers left, I would be playing it as a torpedo boat. I would also be capturing the areas. The enemy team still holds 2 cap points, so they're still gaining points. And in this situation, if you've got this kind of advantage, ships-wise and destroyer-wise, especially when you consider that Hawk doesn't have that much health left, and the other destroyers on his team also don't have that much health left, you gotta go in and you've got to play smart. Capture the area, stop firing, and just play as a torpedo boat. Now Hawk is getting torpedoes off at that Yamato that was briefly spotted there, pushing up around that island. He is capturing the B area. This is very good for him, and he's going to keep his distance from the Yamato because, well, it's a Yamato. The secondaries alone will cause some serious problems if Hawk gets spotted. Plus, he doesn't have a smokescreen available. Now, that first set of torpedoes, unfortunately, only clips the stern of that Yamato, does not cause any flooding. That is a little bit disappointing here in this situation, because if he had managed to cause some flooding, well, that would have been wonderful. The second set there does connect and does cause flooding, but because the first set didn't, that Yamato is, of course, immediately going to hit his R key and put the flooding out. Hawk is also not in a position to get shots on that Yamato because he doesn't have a smokescreen available. But he's got a set of torpedoes almost available, and he's being detected, and he's being targeted. Now, the only ship that's really in a position to actually shoot at him at this moment is the Yamato, and you can see there the secondaries coming in there, and he's not the only person being targeting him at the moment. There were 3 total ships left, and one of them is a Rune who's very, very low health. But Hawk gets torpedoes out at that Missouri there, and he is going to hit. He connects with 2, not enough to kill that Missouri. The Missouri's definitely running radar here, but you can see there that Missouri, very smart, slams on his brakes, stays behind the island because, well, he can see Hawk at this point, but finally that radar cuts out. That's no longer an issue, but Hawk can no longer see this guy as well, and that Missouri was fairly low health at this point. However, Hawk does manage to survive by the skin of his teeth with not a lot of health left. But you can see there, Missouri slamming on his brakes and trying to turn around. This isn't going to end well for him if he's not got his guns pointed in the right direction. It could also not end very well for Hawk if the Missouri does have his guns pointed in the right direction. But you can see there, the secondaries opening up on him. That Missouri taking a big hit there, not a lot of health left. Torpedoes out there, but it looks like too little, too late as that Missouri gets taken out by somebody else. Hawk, however, has done a considerable amount of damage, and at this point, there's just the Yamato left. Plus, he's gone up there, and he's moved into the A cap point, so now the enemy team is no longer to gain points from base captures, but friendly Yamato going for the ram with the enemy Musashi, not the Yamato there. Hard to tell from that distance. They kind of look similar, but Hawk manages to set him on fire, and it looks like secondaries are going. Is the Yamato going to ram the Musashi? And if he does, is he going to take him out? Hawk ends up leaving the A cap point. I don't know why. This is target fixation here is what this is. I don't ever recommend. Pay attention to how much health you have left. Pay attention to the caps, too, because this target fixation, especially opening up with your guns at this kind of range on a Yamato with this much health, could result in you not surviving this game. And given that that Musashi has taken out your friendly Yamato, and the fact that there are just 3 of you left on your friendly team and you are very low health, no, that is no bueno. You do not do that. You should have stayed in the A cap point, capped out first, then gone in and caused some problems with torpedoes. However, at the very least, in this situation, you are spotting that Musashi, so hopefully the friendly ships on your team, the battleship who's in a position, can at least cause some problems. Now, he does manage to connect with a torpedo. That's going to cause some flooding there, but you can see there damage control was available again, and so was popped immediately. Now, Hawk is getting a little close for comfort there, and as the spotter flies over, he's detected that Musashi can just go ahead and open up with secondaries, and you can see the secondaries coming in there, and this is not a good situation for Hawk to be in. He opens up with his anti-air trying to kill that plane, but that's a gutsy move there, and just try to get out of it. He's going to get his torpedoes off again as the secondaries continue to pour in from where he was last spotted, and the Musashi opens up with where he thinks Hawk was, because that would be a wonderful kill for him. And of course, it would also mean that Hawk would be out of the game, and it would keep, well, it would keep that Musashi in the game just a little bit longer. Now, friendly Shimakaze's got sets of torpedoes out. Hawk's got sets of torpedoes out. Hopefully, they can hit him. Hawk hits him with 2, but it's not enough to finish off the Yamato, or that Musashi, before the end of the game. But he does score a high caliber out of it with 201,000 damage done. Only 1 kill, but 10 torpedo hits. A very good game overall. At least some defender ribbons there. I would have personally preferred it if you'd gone and captured more and kept your guns silent. Maybe keeping yourself alive with a little bit more health at the end there. But still, a very good game, very respectable. Top of the team for XP earned at over 2,000 base XP there, with the Missouri coming in second on the team. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. If you'd like to help support me and the channel, you can become my supporter on Patreon. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.